Hello, my name is Chet Zar. I'm your host of this podcast here, and it's called the Dark Art Society podcast. Today we are interviewing artist Jeremy Cross, who has some really cool, weird, fucked up work. He's a very creative guy. We had a great conversation, very fun interview, and so it's a good one. So stick around and listen to it. I enjoyed talking with him, and I really like his work. It's really different, as I talk about in the podcast interview. Okay, what's going on with me? I am still organizing my life, my studio, my office. I mean, it's a deep clean. I've got family helping me, organize my filing system and going through things and getting rid of papers, and that's great. Just what I need to start this new year off right. So I've been doing that. I've been finishing up on some commission stuff because, I've fallen behind on everything because of the situation I'm in, which I've talked about many times. I'm working on the book, which is very exciting, the dystopia book, which is going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm not going to keep talking about it, though, because I'm sure you're sick of hearing about it. What else? Yeah, I've got study commissions to catch up on, and I've got big commissions to catch up on, and the dystopia book, and currently I've got these tool posters. I think I've talked about this. Have I talked about this? I did a couple tool posters and designs for these gig posters, and part of the deal is the artists get to sell the posters themselves. So the band gives us signed posters. So I've got these posters. I just need to figure out how to roll them out properly, and what the market value is, how I'm going to price them, and all that stuff. So I'm kind of figuring that out right now. I just, I want to do it right. So I've just been so much going on with organizing and just, dealing with life that it's been hard. But I'm going to do them, at least start releasing them this month. Probably release them. I don't know if I'm going to release them all this month, but definitely this month I'm releasing them, at least starting. That's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to do them in batches or if I'm going to do them all at once. I just don't know. I have to figure it out. But if you want first chance at getting them, I'm offering them to, like I do all of my merchandise, I'm offering them to my $50 a month Patreon subscribers first. This was not some big plan I had. This is how I've been doing things the last, I think, 2 years now. If you join my Patreon for $50 a month, you get $20 or 20% off. As long as you're subscribing, you get 20% off anything in my web store, and you get first opportunities to buy studies or any kind of new merchandise I'm selling. So the posters are new merchandise. So people at the $50 level on Patreon will get first opportunity. Then I sell, once everyone at the $50 level has gotten their fill, then I go to the lower Patreon tiers and offer the remaining posters to them. And if there's any left, then I'll sell to the general public. So that's the way it's going. If you want to join my Patreon, it's patreon.com/ChetZar. So that's going on. I'm dealing with that this week. What else? That's pretty much it. That's my life lately. It's just nice to be working in a clean space again, because, man, things just got insane with the holidays. I had a good holiday season for sales and stuff. It just got, messy. Everything got messy and crazy and disorganized. So, all right, let's get on to new subscribers here, because we do have some new subscribers. Now, when you join the Dark Art Society Patreon, which is patreon.com/Dark Art Society, you can join for $1 a month, as little as $1 a month, or as much as you want. But not only do you get into the secret Facebook group, which is really cool. We've got this new website, which is really amazing, that Josh G built. And that's kind of our home base. We're trying to get people to play on the website instead of Facebook, because Facebook is a kind of a hellhole, and they're kind of evil. So it's better to not give them your data if possible, or as little as possible. So that's at darkartsociety.com. But you get in there when you join the Patreon. You have to join the Patreon to get in there. At least that's how we have it structured for now. So new subscribers. Let me see. I think the last one I mentioned was Larry. Okay, I've got Abhi Thati. Abhithati. Thank you. I've got Michael Robert Miller. Thank you. Hamana Leong. Thank you for subscribing. Brian Sheehan. Thank you, Brian. And Ron Ransom. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the podcast. This keeps the podcast free for everybody. And you can do it for $1 a month. It's a bargain, really. $12 a year. I mean, you could find $1 a month probably on the ground if you looked for it, went outside looking for money every so often, like once a week. You could probably find $1 a month, finding spare change. Anyway, that's that. Okay, so let's get on with the 5 questions so that we can get on with the fun Jeremy Cross interview. Okay, 5 questions. Tony Saavedra. Now, Tony Saavedra is asking the first question. He was my English teacher from high school. He was one of the few really cool teachers I liked. And his classes were, I had a creative writing class with him, and his English class was even cool. And he was the drama teacher, and I did makeup for the drama class and stuff. So his classes were kind of like one of the few classes that I enjoyed other than my art classes. I was thinking the other day how much I hated school. Man, I hated school. I just hated having to go somewhere, having to get up and be somewhere that I didn't want to be. But isn't that the case with most kids? Okay, Tony Saavedra asked, how many hours of thinking do you think you do before you even start a sketch or an idea? What are some of those thoughts? Usually there's not a ton of thinking involved. It's more doodling. And once I have something down, I really need to see something. I'm a visual learner, I think, and I have to see something on paper for it to make sense. I mean, this has been a big problem with the Dystopia project, because while we've had all the images pretty much together and all the text written by Mike Carell, I haven't been able to see it. It's really hard for me to, obviously I can create things, but it's hard for me to just not have some kind of visual map to follow. And for me, a doodle is kind of like this visual starting place, at least, that I need to get things started. So I'll usually start with a doodle, and then the thinking kind of happens while I'm drawing the thing. But it is always different. Sometimes I'll just occasionally get an idea out of nowhere. And sometimes, I'll get an idea and jot it down quickly. It's always kind of different. But if I was just to sit down and create like a solo show, I would probably start with a title or a rough idea, something that excites me, and then kind of build upon that. And usually the ideas for a whole show come while I'm trying to come up with different ideas for different paintings. And, it takes a while. And that's one thing. I just posted on my Patreon a pro tip, because I do these pro tips at the $5 level where I talk about, different artist pro tips that I think would be helpful for people. And one of them was today's I posted was giving yourself enough time to not paint while you're painting something, so that you can, let the painting settle in your mind, kind of, and look at it, spend time looking at it. And so I kind of laid out why I think that's important and how I do it. So another benefit, that's the other thing about the Patreon. If you're joining my Patreon, if you're joining for the tool posters, there's a ton of content on there. Lots of time lapses and stuff. Okay, enough pitching. All right. Okay. I hope that answered your question, Tony, or Mr. Saavedra, as I'm used to calling you. He's also in the I Like to Paint Monsters, the movie that Mike Carell made about me and my artwork. I wish I had the address, the web address. Let me see if I could look it up while I'm doing this. We have kind of like started and stopped and really not kept on with this little campaign. Okay. We're trying to get I Like to Paint Monsters, this documentary. If you haven't seen it, it is really good. It's really good. It's not, it would be, I don't know. I wouldn't have let it get released if it wasn't good. That was kind of the deal we had. When Mike came to me to do this documentary, I was like, if you let me, if I get basically the final say, because I didn't know him that well at the time, and if I can, basically it's me saying yes or no once the project's done, then I'll do it. And so that's why I can say that the product is good. You know me, I don't like to put, things out that aren't as good as possible. And I definitely wouldn't put out a crappy movie about me. And I really think it's a great film. It's a great documentary, just as a film on its own, I think. And pretty much, everybody I've talked to that's seen it really likes it. It's just kind of been flying under the radar, except for the real hardcore fans. So anyway, we've been really wanting to get it on Netflix. So one thing you can do if you want to try and get this documentary on Netflix is, now I'm looking at the web address here. It's https:// help.netflix.com/en/title request. I'm sure if you go to the Netflix Help Center, there's a little link. Actually, I'll put the link in the description. And if you can go in there and type in for your titled suggestion, Chet Zar, I Like to Paint Monsters. And if we get enough people doing that, we'll get it on Netflix. If hundreds of people or thousands of people did it, it would get on Netflix. And, that would be the ultimate, easily accessible to people. Because right now it's on iTunes, which you have to rent, and not everybody has Apple TV to do that. It's cool that it's on there, but getting it on Netflix would open it up to a wider audience. So look in the description of the podcast today, and I'll have a link there for it. Anyway, I don't know how I got off on this tangent. Oh, Tony Saavedra's in the movie. He was interviewed about me. Okay. Trent Lloyd, do you ever see someone's art and naturally make an assumption as to what they look or act like? Beksinski comes to mind. In his later years, he looked similar to my grandfather, and for some reason, it's hard for me to imagine that guy painted such awesome dark stuff. Me too. I remember when I first saw Beksinski, I was like, whoa. It's kind of cool that he looks like a grandpa. So yeah, it's hard not to imagine what the person's like when you look at artwork. Although, I don't know that I do that much when I look at a painting. Imagine what they're like. It's hard to imagine what they're like. Yeah, I don't know that I guess probably you subconsciously just do it naturally, though. When you see art, you kind of have an idea of what the person might look like, but I don't know. Sorry, I don't have a better answer, but I did have the same feeling about Beksinski. To me, that is just makes it so cool that he just doesn't look like the kind of guy. He's not all gothed out. It's like, when you make art like that, you don't have to put on any airs. You don't have to dress up. It's like you are the thing that people are dressing up to emulate. Okay, so Just kind of shows what a badass he was, I think. Stoller Scam, Skam. I don't know if I've asked this before, or I've read this one before, but I don't think so. Do you find you're excluded from art events because your work is dark/horror inspired? Not anymore, but that's because I'm not, if I were applying to like, the Rotary Club's annual flower painting show, I'm sure I wouldn't get in. But certainly in the past, before I had a name, I would get excluded often from art events. I would apply and get no response. People did not give a shit. There was a time when nobody cared about what I was doing at all. Nobody gave a shit. So that's normal, though. That's, you kind of have to build a reputation up and build your body of work up. And that takes time and persistence, and you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. So at this point, it's more like, dark art inspired events will come to me just because I've got my name out there, my connection with Tool. I've been around for a while. I've been promoting myself for a long time. So it's paid off, all that hard work. But I certainly can relate to your question early on. It was frustrating because I felt like my work was really good, but nobody would give me a chance. Or not nobody. Cannibal Flower gave me a chance. Copro gave me a chance. Think Space gave me a chance. Strychnine Gallery gave me a chance. Last Rites gave me a chance. So cool places gave me a chance early on. But, there was a time in the beginning when, it was pretty much Cannibal Flower was the only place I could get a show at. And that's because they're cool and they're they were that kind of event. It was like for getting new artists their foot in the door, and they were very open to different styles of artwork. Okay, that was 3. I got 2 more here. Colin Nolt, who writes the most amazing posts on Facebook. The dude is a genius. I keep telling him, you gotta become a politician or a writer or something. I think he's a tattoo artist. But anyway, hopefully I didn't read this one either. Sometimes I forget to cross them out. If not, if I have, oh well. Do you purposely inject social commentary and or psychological issues, concepts into your work, or discover it in the finished piece after the fact? Both of those are true. Probably what happens more often than not is after the fact. I will find out what the piece is about, and it has, there's psychological issues of mine in there, or political things. Sometimes I will throw them in there, but I never like to hit people over the head with it. I don't like that. I like subtlety in art, vagueness. I think it makes for a deeper painting. But a good example of something that I purposely put social commentary in is a painting called Siamese Clowns. It didn't start off that way, but once I was painting it, I kind of realized it. And then I started tweaking it to have like a political bent on it. The painting is 2, of course, creepy clown heads, but they're, joined at like they have the same body. It's just 2 heads and that kind of frilly thing that clowns have around their neck. Some clowns have. So they're like conjoined clowns. But then I realized, one's on the right and one's on the left, and one's looking at the other in a crazy way, like a scared way, and then the one on the right's kind of older looking and doesn't have eyes and smoking a cigar, and it was kind of like, political right and left. And so then I was like, okay, I'll make the colors red, white, and blue, but it's subtle. It's not like you probably wouldn't notice it. And I think that's way better because like I said, I don't like to beat people over the head with a message. To me, that just kind of ruins art when it's just like that. Then it becomes like an editorial cartoon. When it's just all spelled out for you like that. It's cooler, I think, when you look at an image for a year or two and then you realize, oh wow, I see that thing. I wonder if that was intentional or whatever. So okay, I think that was number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, number 5. Shannon Norrell. How do you paint and watch television at the same time? Well, I don't really do that. What I do is I have a TV next to my easel, and I watch documentaries, but I don't actually watch them. I listen to them. But, I look from time to time at it. And I've watched, I don't know. I put stuff on all the time while I'm painting. I'm more listening to it, and I like that it kind of takes my mind off of what I'm doing in a way, so I'm not, I don't know. I like that it occupies my mind a little bit in that, like, intellectually, so that I'm just creating creatively and not really thinking that much about it. It doesn't distract me for some reason. To me, it's kind of like listening to music. Now, it's weird because when I write, if I have to do posts for my Patreon or something, and I need to write a bunch of text, I cannot listen to anything with words. I can't have a movie on. I mean, it just completely, I can't do it. So it's got to be something to do with the part of the brain I'm using for those two activities. So let's get on with it. Jeremy Cross, episode 146. I think you're going to like this one. Here we go. What's up, Jeremy?
Hey, Chet. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm good. I'm running late as usual. I'm so sorry to leave you waiting like that. That was I don't like to do that. But
I caught up on some thumb twiddling, so we're good.
I apologize for that.
No worries.
Yeah, so you're looks like you're in your evil dungeon, from what I can see.
Yeah,
it's almost pitch black.
I gotta so dark.
I gotta do a screen grab of this because you'll crack up when you see it. Okay, I'm gonna post that on the Patreon. It's funny. Yeah. So, how are you? What have you been up to?
I'm good. I mean, I think like a lot of people right now, I'm fighting off illness. Goddamn winter. It fucks us all up.
Yeah, well, you got a kid too, so that's like the double whammy.
Yeah, when he's back in school after Christmas break, like I feel like it's it's plague.
Yep, plague city when it comes to kids.
Yeah, perpetual.
Yeah, I was just telling you, we were just talking a second ago, and I was saying how you're again. I've said this a few times, but you're like the perfect guest for this show because I know you well enough to talk to you and not feel uncomfortable or nervous because we've known each other for how long now? It's been forever, it seems like.
I mean, I feel like we've known each other for got to be close to 10 years.
Yeah, for sure, at least.
Yeah, I feel like I got to know you maybe a lot better the last 4 or 5, but yeah.
We were always showing in the same shows and hanging out at the same galleries. So, but again, we haven't really talked much personal stuff, so I don't know that much about you. So you're one of those kind of perfect guests that's easy to interview because I know you, but I don't know you. You know what I mean?
Totally, man.
So tell me, what do you really like? Just kidding. You're just a lovable teddy bear of a guy.
Yeah. It depends on who you ask, I guess.
Well, okay. Let's start with your story. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Bakersfield, California.
Oh, no way! I didn't know you're from Bakersfield. Okay.
Yeah, not something I hide, but not something I broadcast. I don't wear shirts that say Bakersfield on them or anything. But yeah. It's a shitty little small town in the butthole of California.
Okay, but you're not bitter.
No, not at all.
What were you, the art kid? I mean, were you always into this or what?
No, I was the trouble kid.
You were the trouble kid? So you really
was
were the punk rocker that you still look like?
Yeah, I was the trouble kid. I mean, there was art, but mostly I was into getting into trouble. There's a lot of that, but it's so boring in a town like that even when you're really young, you're just struggling to find anything to do.
Right.
Trouble's the easiest thing to do.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It really is. So.
Yeah, well, that's where getting into art earlier would have probably served you, because people that get into art when they're little kids tend to withdraw and never leave the house.
Yeah, I mean, I did do art as a kid. I'm not going to say I didn't, but it wasn't really something I was very passionate about. It was circumstantially there to pass the time. Like, I was forced to go to church a lot as a kid.
Oh, really?
And I drew.
Interesting.
I drew, and I was allowed to draw in
Everything's
church.
making sense now. Bakersfield Church, troublemaker.
You're so fucked up, man.
Okay, so yeah, okay. You were drawing. At what point did you become like passionate about it, though? When did you really get into it?
It wasn't until my early 20s that I started to really take it seriously.
Oh, okay, late bloomer.
Yeah, so before that it was always there. I was always doing something creative, but I really wanted to be a writer.
Really?
Yeah, I did a lot of writing in my teenage years.
Did you read a lot? Were you a big reader?
I was a huge reader. I still am.
Oh, cool.
But I was running poetry readings by the time I was 15.
Wow.
At a local coffee shop there, and
that's pretty amazing.
So, the written word was first, and then that transitioned to writing music and singing in a band. And, it wasn't until the band kind of faltered that I was like, well, shit, man, I got to do something that I don't have to rely on anybody else for.
Yeah, right? I had that same thing happen to me.
So I was like, what? Fuck it. I'm gonna start painting. I don't have to have band practice to paint.
Yeah. Being in a band's hard, man.
It's not easy. It's a blast when it works.
Oh, yeah. It's great. I love
things I ever did. But yeah, you were in a band for a long time, right?
Yeah, like 10 years I was in different bands. I was trying to make it, but it worked out, though, because, it's hard to make money with music nowadays. So
yeah, I did about 10 years as well. And never, we got a lot of gigs in Bakersfield and around, the Southern California, but it never really grew anything past that.
Yeah. Was it a punk band?
No, it was a weird fucking band.
Oh, wow.
Terrible name. I didn't pick the name. We were called Vagabond.
Vagabond, okay.
So sort of like vagabond, but
okay.
Vega meaning star, and like bound. Like, it was. I had a couple of hippies in the band.
Yeah.
So there was that. Then I had a bluegrass player play guitar.
No way, really?
A classically trained violinist, and then
holy shit! Nothing I would have thought.
Weird punk rock me, and it was. Have you ever heard 16 Horsepower?
No.
We were compared to them a lot. There's sort of a bluesy rock alt kind of outfit, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was what I did.
Okay. So
I like to do it.
Yeah. So that broke up, and then where were you at in life where you were like considering art and all that?
I was living on the Central Coast near San Luis Obispo with a girl, and I got an opportunity to do a corporate gig with Starbucks. I was managing one at the time there, and so they offered me that, and it gave me the chance to move back to LA. I'd done it a couple times before, and it hadn't stuck. Mm-hmm. So I took that, and I ended up doing corporate stuff with Safeway and Starbucks for another 10 years.
Holy shit. I didn't know this.
Like suit and tie every
No
day.
way, really?
168 stores under my belt.
Wow. What were you doing?
I was a regional director for licensed stores inside of Safeways.
Wow. Oh, inside the Starbucks inside of Safeways. You kind of oversaw all those?
Yeah, so I was in charge of making sure that they opened correctly and maintained operations and standards and all that stuff.
Wow. That sounds like a lot of responsibility.
It was very stressful. And it was a lot of hours.
Good money, I hope.
It was great money.
Yeah, yeah. That's good.
I hated it.
Oh, really? Hated it.
Every bit of my body, I hated it. I liked when I first started, I liked it because I traveled a lot. I had stores all the way up to Northern Cal and a couple in Las Vegas and San Diego and like all over the place. I was on the road a lot. And that was cool when I was young and wanting to, you know, just party and have a good time. But, you know, you start getting older, settle down, married, have a kid.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't seem so fun anymore.
Yeah, yeah, right. Definitely. You don't have to tell me. I don't leave the house.
Yeah.
Except
For
to
sure.
go to the occasional art show. Okay, so how do you go from that to doing your crazy, I don't even know how to describe your stuff. It's definitely in the dark art spectrum, but it's like got this element of folk art and punk rock art, and it's definitely like different than anything anybody else is doing. That's what I like about your work being in you know, to be able to call it dark art and have it be part of the whole circle is because you're representing this weird little niche that no one else has, I don't think, that I can think of.
Little niche.
What's that?
I said, yay, weird little niche.
That's where it's at, man. That's what I'm doing too.
Quote you on my biography.
Well, you found your own spot in this big umbrella is the way I see it, you know, which is cool. And it's like, that's one thing I'm always trying to promote is that, you know, dark art isn't just one thing that a lot of people think it is when they hear the word. It's like there's a whole bunch of other aspects to it.
The uninitiated and even some of the sort of initiated definitely have a preconceived notion when you use that combination of words.
Yeah.
It's really fun to blow their minds and say, no. It can be super colorful. It can be fucking hilarious.
Right, exactly. That's the other thing is there's that, definitely the hilarity aspect in your work.
Soul-crushingly brutal. It can be all this stuff, and you know, it's as long as it's, you know, pulling some kind of emotion out of you, then we win.
Right. So, okay, how the hell did you come up with that? How did you get there from a corporate gig where you're making all kinds of money to being this artist doing this crazy stuff?
Well, like I said, right after I moved back to LA, actually I met my wife right after I moved back to LA. Mm-hmm. So while I'm doing the corporate gig, she introduces me to Bill Schaefer, owner of Hyena Gallery. Mm-hmm. And well, not then. He was about a year out from opening Hyena Gallery when I met him.
Oh, what was he doing then?
He was running a record store out in Springfield, Missouri or Massachusetts.
Oh,
Massachusetts.
okay.
Yeah. Like near Boston, I guess.
Okay.
So me and him became fast friends really quickly, and you know, I'd been doing work again since I moved back. And I showed him, and he said, "Do you want to be the first show at Hyena when I open?" I said,
no way.
So kind of a hell of a break.
Yeah.
To go from all I'd ever shown up before that was coffee shops and bars.
Wow.
And to, you know, having my first gallery show be also my first solo show and the first show ever at a really cool gallery.
Yeah. Well, you know, you didn't know it was going to be a really cool gallery yet. I guess they hadn't proven themselves yet because it was brand new. So it was like a fortuitous pairing, I suppose, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was such a rad dude. We're still, you know, really good friends. I get to, don't get as much as I like anymore, but
yeah. He's a cool, great guy. Definitely.
So from that, I was doing a solo show every year for like the first 5 years of Hyena. I was doing that. And then through that, I ended up showing at the Hive and a couple other small galleries around LA.
Did you do Cannibal Flower?
I did.
Okay. I
did a bunch of Cannibal Flower.
Probably where we first met.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And that would be more than 10 years ago, I think. What year are you thinking this is?
Well, when Hyena opened, it was 13 years ago.
Oh, okay. And then
so I probably started. Hold on. Shh. Sorry.
It's all right.
Big, 120-pound pit bull. They get loud.
Excellent. We love it.
Yes,
we love that. Dog-friendly podcast.
Fuck yeah. Where was I? I got distracted by dog.
What year do you think you were showing at Cannibal Flower?
Okay, so we're probably looking at 2008, 9.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I mean, at the latest 10. At 2010, for sure, I was showing at Cannibal Flower by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you were showing at the Hive. You got a show at the Hive. Think Space, or did you ever get into Think Space? Or
never did Think Space, and
Copro. You show at Copro now, but I mean,
I do, but I didn't start showing at Copro until about 3 years ago.
That's cool.
But totally stoked to be doing it.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I'm trying to think. Okay. So here's an important little moment in that world.
Yes.
You remember Forgotten Saints?
Yes.
So maybe 2013, 2014, I got introduced to those cats and was brought in as co-curator.
Right. That's
for
right.
Forgotten Saints. And that kind of created a boom for me as far as like who I knew and who I was able to associate and make friends with in the art world. That's the one good thing that place was good for.
It didn't end well, I take it?
No, it got really weird. I was really green. I didn't know how to do what I was doing. I certainly didn't know how to curate. And the owners, they ran a clothing shop that they were letting a bunch of artists run rampant in.
Oh, okay.
And so it was, it looked cool. We did cool shit there.
Yeah.
But the back end, the business side of it was not handled as well as it should have been.
Is this the place that was on Melrose?
Yep, Melrose.
Okay, yeah, I went there. I went there at least once to one of the shows, I remember.
Yeah, I showed your work there.
Okay. That must have been it.
Yep. Yeah.
They're all a blur to me. I've been cleaning.
Two of them.
I've been cleaning out my office, and I've got like all the cards, all the art show cards. I saved them from all the shows, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, I don't remember anything about being in this show, and my name's on there. It's like, so it's just all, you know how it is. It's just a big blur.
I completely understand. Yeah. It goes by incredibly slowly, and it's also so fast.
Yeah. Especially when you have a kid, and then when you have a kid, it kicks into hyper speed. I've always heard that cliche. It's so true, man.
You don't really believe it until you're in fast forward.
Yep.
And it makes perfect sense once you're swept up in it. Sure.
Well, you see, 5 years. How old's your son?
He's getting ready to be 7 next month.
Okay, so you can say 7 years of your life can go by and you don't feel that much different, or 5 years maybe. You're like, it didn't seem like it was that long of a time, and you don't seem that much different. And then you see how much the kid has grown, and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die soon.
Every fucking day.
Because it's like, okay, then you start going, okay, when they're 30, I'm gonna be dead. And it wasn't long. Yeah, I was 30 not that long ago, it seemed like. So this is getting kind of weird. But man, yeah, it really messes with your head.
It does.
But it's cool. I mean, it's great. It's great. I love kids, so it's definitely awesome.
I can't imagine. I mean, there's before he was born, and then there's after he's born, and it's two complete different worlds.
Yeah. It's never the same. Your life will never be the same, and you won't have to die alone. That's the other good thing.
Jesus, way to bring down the room, Chet.
Well, that's something. Having a family is like, the older you get, the more you think about that stuff.
It's true.
Because that would suck to just be like, have no one. That would be rough. And
good news is, a few minutes after that, you won't know the difference.
Yeah, probably.
That's a beautiful giant lighter you got there, buddy.
Yeah, I'll never lose it.
Nope.
Okay. So anyway, back to you. You're curating. You had
Okay, so my first foray into curating, so that dries up. Actually, I exit before it completely dries up, just because I realized kind of I don't want to be a part of it anymore.
That's good.
And then I become friends with Robert and Tamara, who own Night Gallery in
Oh
Santa.
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Night Gallery.
And they were after. I think they'd been open for 9 years. They were thinking about closing. I'd shown with them a few times before that, and they asked me, like, "Do you want to help us keep it open? Because we don't really have the time to do it anymore."
Mm-hmm.
And so I moved in and started running that for the next 4 years, which is much experience. It was nothing but awesome.
Yeah, I know. That's what it's like. I only heard good things about them, and they had the coolest gallery name, and I wanted to do a solo show. I think they wanted to get me in a solo show there.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and I kept hearing good things about them, and then it's just, by the time I don't know, all of a sudden I turned around and they were gone.
They ended up pulling up stakes and moving up to Seattle. They're doing great up there.
Oh, they have a gallery up there still, or
no? They kind of just doing other stuff, but
okay.
It was always sort of just a little side hustle for them. They always had he was a teacher and she was in fashion design.
Oh, okay.
So it was their focus was mostly elsewhere, but that was a passion project for them, and
right.
It's really really awesome that I got to hold the reins for a little while on it.
Yeah, that's cool. You kept it going, and that's interesting too. You're one of the few artists who has an inside view of how a gallery works. So I imagine you're more sympathetic to galleries than a lot of artists are, because I know I'm pretty sympathetic to galleries more than most artists are. I think because I've curated enough shows and I see how it works behind the scenes and how hard it is to make money. So I'm kind of like, artists don't realize that most galleries are pretty much in the same position as them. Like month to month, paycheck to paycheck, and nobody's getting rich. So
you do it for the love of the game.
And most of the people doing it are like, I know that's why Gary and Erica are doing it at Copro. It's like they love art. That's there's way better ways to make money than to be an artist or have an art gallery. So that's. So anyway, I'm a little more sympathetic to the gallery system, at least at our level that we show at,
There's so many great things about a good gallery,
right?
Having that relationship with it. We won't talk about galleries that aren't great,
right? Because there's those too, but knowing that, being able to find out the difference and working with a gallery that really believes in your work and believes in your career, mm-hmm.
It can make all the difference in the world. It's Instagram can only get you so far.
Yeah.
It's having that kind of muscle behind your exposure, behind your work, it makes a big difference. But you got to be willing to help them keep their doors open in the process.
Yeah. It's worth the trade off, because people complain about the 50%. They have to give up, and you kind of, when you work at the gallery as opposed to selling yourself, you take a 50% hit. But I think it's worth it if it's a good gallery, if it's a decent gallery that believes in you and isn't lying to you and isn't trying to rip you off or withhold payments or any of that stuff. Just the prestige of being in a gallery is a good thing, and the opportunity for people to see it in person, that's really important.
Nothing compares to a well-executed show.
Right.
Like walking into a room that's been curated beautifully and hung correctly.
Yeah.
And, the pieces have been selected to work together. And,
right.
And, like, that experience is like, I pray that it never goes away, because it's like walking into church.
Totally, man. Yeah. It's like, it's hard to see it that way all the time when you're in the business of it, but every once in a while you'll put on or curate an amazing show, and you'll walk in and you're like, wow, okay, this is why I'm doing it. This is amazing. This is like sublime, It's it's life-changing kind of stuff. A good show.
And it all comes together. The artist, gallery, and the vision is connected, and you know, there's a certain amount of magic that happens there that you can't get any other way.
Yeah. It's the live band versus the CD thing. I always say, you know, it really is like that. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I never. That's so interesting to know that you had all this managerial experience, and now you're, you know, you've worked with a lot of galleries, and are you working with Dark Art Emporium, kind of?
I'm the partner over there.
Oh, you are, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
it's the two Jeremys.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I didn't know you were like a partner there. I thought for a while it seemed like you were just kind of helping out, or you were just curating or something. But
it's grown. You know, we just hit 3 years last year.
Wow.
And for the first year, I was just kind of helping because, you know, Shot, the other Jeremy Shot, you know, he jumped into it not knowing really anything about the world at all. Well, you know, he was friends with Bill Schaefer as well through Hyena, but you know, he comes from a videographer and background,
but he's got good taste though. He's got good taste in art. You know, that's the thing. That's kind of what the main thing you need.
And so a few months after he opened, I hit him up and I said, "Hey, you're in Long Beach. I'm in Long Beach. I've got this history. You know, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know." And he was eager to get me in there. And I started curating shows just a couple times, you know, for the first year. And then by the end of the second year, you know, we were partnered up on the project, and now we're joined at the hip.
Oh, that's excellent. That's great. Great.
It's been a really cool relationship to have grow. And he's an amazing dude. Like,
oh yeah,
I love with that dude.
Yeah, he's super great guy. Another great guy. Yeah, Bill and Jeremy they're similar in that way, where they're like, you know, they like pretty fucked up stuff. So you know, but they're like big sweethearts. You know what I mean? Super nice people. They're kind of classic dark art people in that way, I guess. You know.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They for some reason they kind of, maybe, I don't know. They remind me of each other a little bit, but in that way.
When they're together, you definitely, like, we were all together Saturday for an opening at Dark Art Emporium, and it's always great to hang out with both Bill and Jeremy because it's like two halves of the same person.
Yeah, they seem like brothers or something, right?
Yeah,
it's like Jeremy seems like the younger brother of Bill or something.
Yeah, he's not as bitter yet.
Yeah, exactly.
We're working on it.
Wow. Okay. So, wow, I didn't realize it. That's cool. Yeah, that's a Dark Art Emporium is an amazing gallery. It's so nice in there. The first time I went in there, I was like, "Holy shit! This is like a funeral, like a cool funeral parlor feeling in there." You know, the way it's decorated is like, you know, if I had a gallery, it would look like Dark Art Emporium. Totally. It's like got that same haunted mansion-y vibe, but you know, really nice. So yeah, it's pretty incredible what you guys have done.
I have a lot of fun making that place look the way that I would want any gallery I walked into to look.
Oh, that's cool. So you have a big say in that? In the
Oh, we collaborate on everything. Like,
okay.
And that's what makes our relationship so solid, is that we have a great give and take, and you know, we fix each other's problems and cancel each other out at the right times, and support each other in the other moments that need to be supportive, and it's 100% collaborative.
Yeah, those kind of relationships are the best. It's really, it makes it fun to not be alone all the time. You know, when you have someone you can work with well.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that's been the last 3 years of my life. Honestly, it's been the best time that I've had as an artist. It's been super inspiring to work there and work with all the artists that we're bringing in. And again, this is something that, like, I can't say enough about just a gallery, not even just my involvement there, but a gallery in general. Like, the relationships that you are able to foster through a community place like that.
Right.
Like, it's done wonders not just for the gallery and the artists that we're showing, but also personally for like my career and networking and connections and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So, that has a lot to do with why I do it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a sense of community down there. I feel like I'm not in it really because I don't come down enough to it. But every time I go there, it seems like, I don't know, everyone kind of knows each other. And it's such a trip being in Long Beach. It's like, who would have thought a dark art gallery in Long Beach? But it's kind of perfect in a weird way. There's something very Southern California about a dark art gallery, in my opinion, especially Long Beach, because Long Beach is like, there's nice parts of it, and then there's some really scary parts of it,
Sure.
know?
Long Beach is a weird city. Like,
Yeah.
I have to say, like, when people, talk about Portland and keeping it weird, but like, come to Long Beach.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking weird, man.
It's not an act out here.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't need to keep it weird. You have to stop it from getting too weird.
For sure.
Because I know it's like, Pedro's kind of like that in a way, because I grew up in San Pedro, and it's like, there is definitely a weird element in San Pedro of like, I just remember there's like haunted houses and there's crazy people walking around. I mean, my mom had stories of, this insane woman they called the Rabbit Lady who used to like terrorize kids at Halloween and put on.
Holy shit, was that real?
Yeah, she used to put on rubber gloves with grapes in the gloves, and she would make the kids shake her hand, but she was like crazy. She wasn't doing it for fun.
Wow.
And she had all these rabbits, and lived in this creepy old house, and there's just always been this weird I don't know,
San Pedro Rabbit Witch.
There's definitely that weird. I don't know what it was. I remember there's a vibe there. There's definitely a vibe there, and it's like that kind of in Long Beach too. And I don't know what it is, but it's definitely there. I mean, Long Beach used to have the Pike.
Right.
I don't know if when you moved here, but we used to go to the Pike, and that was like, they had like a real tattoo shop for, back in the 60s and 70s, I guess, maybe. It was like super.
I moved to Long Beach about 10 years ago. I was long gone by then, sadly.
Yeah, but it was like a real creepy old carnival with old school tattoo place and, like total, like a counterculture, like really underground, like real.
That had to be Outer Limits, right?
I don't even remember. I just remember walking by it and there being like sailors and stuff, and just kind of classic, but really seedy. That's what was cool about
it. They're still around, and I think they tout that they're the longest running tattoo parlor in America.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow, so cool. So when did you move? How did you wind up in Long Beach anyway?
I was living in Hollywood for a bunch of years.
Where in Hollywood?
Like East Hollywood area. Like near La Luz.
Oh, okay. Was that kind of by the Anti-Club? Do you remember, or was that?
No, I've heard of the Anti-Club. I think that was before I was there.
Okay, yeah. That was on the east side. That was late 80s, I guess. East side of Melrose. The Anti-Club. We used to play it all the time.
Yeah, like near La Luz, like Virgil and area, like right before Silver Lake.
Okay, yeah. I know where that is. I used to live Franklin and Vista Del Mar. Where the freeway, Franklin and the freeway over. What's that main street? Never mind. It doesn't matter. But I had the Hollywood experience for a few years. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I lived behind Jumbo's Clown Room for a bunch of years.
That
was great. I was a very frequent regular there.
Jumbo's Clown Room.
Who doesn't want to listen to really cool music, watch people get naked, and you're surrounded by clowns? Like, it's much better than that.
Yeah, that was a crazy place. I think we went there one time at a lunch when I was working on the Blob in 86 or something. 87.
Terrible place to go to lunch.
Yeah. I was like a little kid. I'm like, what is this place? Like, oh shit, we're in a strip club. Oh my God.
But we got to the point where we wanted to buy a house, and we just could not afford to buy one anywhere near Hollywood. We tried.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife had actually gone to college in Long Beach and really liked it. And she said, well, what about that? And I was like, fuck Long Beach. I don't want to fucking move to Long Beach. Like, it's like the other side of the planet.
Right.
And then we ended up finding a great place here and bought it for nothing at the bottom of the market. And
wow, cool.
And I fell in love really quickly. Like it got inside me super fast.
Wow.
Like I told you, I was in the coast for a long time, and then in Hollywood. And when I really got settled in Long Beach, it kind of felt like the perfect mixture of both of those worlds.
Yeah.
Like there's this chill, like non-fronting atmosphere of the coastal beachside city, and then you still have, the urban dangers of, Hollywood kind of mixed in. And it's,
it's true.
It was a perfect place for me to end up, and I didn't even know that I was doing that.
Yeah. What are the chances that, a super cool dark art gallery is going to open? It's pretty close to you, I imagine, right?
Oh yeah. It's like 5 minutes away.
Yeah. That's crazy. What are the chances? It just kind of goes to show you that you were meant to be there, I guess.
Oh, perfectly true. Yeah. Once that happened, it was like, yep, this was exactly where I was supposed to be.
Right. Does Jeremy live out there also?
He does. He lives a block away from the gallery.
Wow.
But he's lived here about 15 years. So he was here a little before me. But I think it was the same thing. He was just like, seems like a cool place to end up. Why not?
Right. Yeah. It's amazing. The idea of being able to buy a house anywhere in California now is crazy.
Yeah. If we hadn't done it when we did it, we wouldn't have done it.
So, yeah. There's no way. I could not afford the house we're in at this point for what they're saying it's worth. No way. No, no way. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up, but so are you showing, so how do you do that? This is an interesting question. You're running a gallery and co-curating this gallery, and you're also an artist. So are you like free to show wherever you want? It seems like you're kind of free to show at any gallery.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're not really weird about that in general with anybody.
Yeah, that's what's so great about Copro and why I stuck with them for so long, or one of the reasons. Right. Is it was never like an issue. Like some galleries are really overprotective and make you sign a contract that says you can't show anywhere for like 2 years or something. It's like Copro has never been like that. It doesn't make sense anymore. No,
there's no way that they're going to make you enough money to make that worth it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And that's all my whole thing with that. We prefer you not to have another feature or a solo, maybe within 6 months of your tour or solo there. But
that's reasonable. That's reasonable, though.
Do group shows. Do whatever you got to do to pay your bills. More exposure elsewhere helps your exposure here. So it's all ships rising with the tide.
Yeah, it's kind of part of the new art world, I think. Things are different now because of the internet and everything. And the days of a gallery being able to pay you enough money to live on for 2 years while you paint for a show are over, unless you're maybe in a blue chip world or something.
Yeah, I don't know what that world looks like.
I've heard about it. I don't know what it looks like either, but I've heard about it before.
Stories. So backtrack to corporate day job, and you want to know how I got out of that. Okay.
Sorry.
I had a kid.
Oh, that seems like the opposite thing you would do.
Well, it's weird. So my wife, she was in charge of a fashion design group. And she was really doing great in her career. And for the first time since she was making more money than me, and it was good. And she had a good career path ahead of her. Whereas I was kind of stuck where I was at. Like I couldn't really go up anymore from where I was, happily anyway. Yeah. And like I said, I hated it. So we came to the decision of, we got a kid. Come on, what do you want to do? I was like, well, I could spend half or more on my paycheck paying somebody else to raise my child. Or I could quit the job that I don't like, let you continue to ascend with yours, and I can take this art shit seriously for the first time.
That's cool. That's
And
like a win-win for everyone, right?
I'm really lucky that I have such an amazing partner who believes in what I do, because it was basically her idea.
Oh, wow. Yeah, she's really cool. She's cool. So I always get a good vibe from her when I see her.
And so that's like I said, that was about 7 years ago. So that's when I really started trying to take it seriously. I'm working, getting into the studio daily instead of just when I can, trying to create a regiment for myself to force myself to work even when I don't want to. And, not turning it into something I don't love, because I still absolutely love every minute of it, but, just really pushing yourself to make more and to better.
Yeah. Well, do you ever see that movie, Beauty is Embarrassing? Have you ever seen that documentary? About
not sure
Wayne White.
Excuse me. I'm not sure that I have.
Oh, it's so good. Wayne White, the guy that got big doing those thrift store paintings and painting in letters.
Oh,
that look 3-dimensional.
Yes,
yeah, Wayne White.
I did see that.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. I mean, I think it was on a recent podcast how there's this one great scene in it where he's painting, just tediously painting these letters in, and he's like, this is the ditch digging part of painting. Most of painting is ditch digging. It's like the inspiration and starting it, everything's all fun, and then there's this slog through the middle. Even though it's fun, it's great. I'm not going to complain about any aspect of painting, but there is the slog in the middle where you just got to put the work in, and then you get to the end, and then you get that little putting the finishing touches on it. It feels all like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah, my least favorite is cutting, because I work on wood or MDF panels, and I basically spend like a couple days a month just cutting panels, sanding them, gessoing them. And I hate it.
Yeah, I remember when I first did that, I was like, oh, this is fun. You're like part of the art from the very beginning. You're putting even your canvas, your thing, you're gessoing it, you're getting the surface just right. And then you do it once and you're like, fuck that, I don't want to do that again.
It's a giant pain in the ass.
It is a giant pain in the ass. It's the kind of thing you hire someone to do for you, if you can.
Yeah, I'll let you know when that happens.
So are you, how are you, why, I'm lazy, so I tend to paint in kind of standard sized boards and stuff. I mean, what's your approach to that? Why are you doing so much cutting? Are you doing weird sizes and weird frames, or what?
Weird sizes and weird frames is exactly it. I collect frames.
Okay.
I have a little storage building out behind my house, and it's a frame room. There are hundreds and hundreds of frames because I do a bunch of estate sale hunting.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's great.
And, a lot of them are old, and old frames are weird fucking sizes.
Yeah.
1/8 inches, 1/16 inches. And so I just started buying giant MDF panels and cutting them to size for the frames instead of trying to do it the other way around.
That's smart. That's how Chris Mars does it, I think.
That makes sense because he does cool old frames too.
Yeah, he finds these funky ass frames and then he paints the painting to the frame, which is pretty smart.
And then lately I've been doing cigar boxes.
Oh, cool. That's a good idea.
So my local smoke shop sells me old wooden cigar boxes for like $2 a piece. And so I'm retrofitting those and putting panels in those.
Oh, that's great. That's such a good idea. Yeah, you're a very creative guy. Like you're always coming up with weird, cool little things that I think, oh man, I wish I would have thought of that. That's a cool idea.
That's a great compliment. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I like the way you think about things.
I just don't. I can't do the same thing for too long. And I honestly, it's probably more of a hindrance to a longer, better career than anything. But I have to keep myself interested, and so I'll sidetrack and burn wood for 6 months.
Yeah, right. You did that. Didn't you sculpt a head out of wood at one point?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is he doing? That's like completely out in left field. But it was like, man, I always wanted to sculpt a piece of wood.
And it's just like it hits me, and I sideline everything else, and I play with that until I get that out of my system, and then it always comes back to oil painting.
Right.
Or finding a way to combine the oil paintings into assemblage or sculptural or wood burning in with it, yeah, I don't know. But because of that, I often don't feel like I have a very definitive style. But I've been told otherwise a lot. But I don't. I just because I do a lot of random shit to keep myself entertained.
Yeah, I think it all. When I see your stuff, I know it's yours. So that to me, that says you have your own style. So I know what you're saying, but I think it seems like within different mediums, though, you still kind of have the same feel as your paintings from what I've seen.
I like to try to keep some kind of through line.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like it's only obvious to me, but yeah. But I hear what you're saying.
What other weird things have you done like that?
Oh,
I know
shit.
you were doing you built this amazing table. I wanted it.
What was it the coffin table?
Yeah, it was a coffin table. Coffin table. I wanted that so bad.
So I got that casket because I was doing the installation at Dark Art Emporium for a show called no, it wasn't Remains. It was fuck. Anyway, it's about death.
Mm-hmm.
So we turned the place into a literal funeral parlor.
Nice.
And I scored this casket online and I refinished it and fixed it up. And when I was done with it, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with this giant casket? And I had some cool like claw and ball table legs. And I was like, I bet I could turn this into a dope table. So I did.
Wow. So this is part of your this dog, sorry.
That's all right.
This is part of your estate sale thing. You pick up things like table legs and all kinds of weird things that can be made into art, I imagine.
Basically, when I go to an estate sale, I ignore the house, I go to the garage, and I buy all the shit that nobody else wants.
Ah. That's it.
All the old frames, all the random pieces of wood, all the old tools that anybody in their right mind has no interest in. Yeah, and then I find interesting things to do with them, or try to.
Do you have like a workshop or something that you keep all that?
Or
a shed or something?
I've got my studio is a converted garage.
Okay.
And then I have a long driveway, and then I've got a cover over that.
Uh-huh.
Like an aluminum cover over that, and then I have a workspace built underneath the cover.
Oh, that's cool.
With workbenches and things like that, and woodworking tables and things. It's one of the nice things about living in Southern California is I can basically have an outdoor workspace that, as long as I cover it when it rains, we're good.
Right. Yeah. I have that. That's what I have. I've got. I mean, at this point, my garage it's like a single car garage, and it's full of books and stuff now, but my black magic books and molds and stuff like that and convention stuff, but right next to it I've got this kind of the same thing. It's like a little outdoor, it's where the people who lived before us used to put their trash cans. It's like this little separate, like a gate with a like a, I don't know, like a miniature carport, just a tiny little thing, and it's like that's where I do all my grinding and air hose and stuff like that. And it's like, hardly rains here, so it's not really an issue leaving stuff outside.
Sounds very familiar. Yeah, it's basically the same situation. And then, like I said, I have it's a couple of attached outbuildings, and that's where I store all the crap that I build, off of. And
yeah.
And I, every once in a while I get a wild hair up my ass. I have a bunch of barrels, like whiskey barrels, and I turn those into tables.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
I did a giant piano sculpture last year.
Uh-huh. What was that?
We did a Tom Waits, loosely themed show around Tom Waits songs.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, we can't have a Tom Waits' show without a fucking piano.
Right.
So I found a piano that was in the yard of some frat boys in Whittier. And they were like, just come get it. And so I got a free piano, and then I did a bunch of crazy assemblage stuff with it and turned it into this nightmare monster of a piano to install into the gallery for the show.
Oh, that's so cool.
And you could still play it. I made sure it was still playable.
Wow.
And I have local musicians to come and play songs on it during the reception.
That is so cool.
It was a fun event.
So what how do you know how to do all that stuff? Furniture building, and I mean, where do you get that from? Do you just figure it out? You just do it? You just kind of figure it out, or what?
I have no idea. It just kind of makes sense to me.
Woodwork
didn't teach me any of it.
Woodworking is like its own different kind of thing.
Yeah, a lot of it. Like when we bought this house, it's an old 1920s house. We had to do a lot of work on it, and I spent a lot of time digging people's brains out and looking at YouTube videos and learning how to do different things. And I think that kind of helped me like realize I could do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
The first time I refinished a living room and rebuilt a cabinet, and I was like, I'm better at this than I thought I would be. Wow. And so it gave me that incentive to try different things and incorporate that into art, and just open up another play toolbox for me to play in.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, what's his name? He was just on the podcast last show of the year.
Is that Jason?
Jason Limon.
Yeah,
he was talking about how he built a whole studio all himself.
Yeah,
which was like, I've got an old house too, but I don't know how to fix anything. I'm kind of afraid to try anything because I don't want to mess it up worse than it is. But I don't know.
I'm really jealous of his ability to have the space and the ability to do that. That's awesome.
I know. He like put the walls up and everything. Built it from the ground up. It's crazy. That would be so much fun to do.
We bullshit around about when we get another house with an actual big yard. That's the plan.
Right.
Is like I would build my own studio.
Yeah. That's what I keep saying we're gonna do too. But
yep, someday, right?
Yeah, someday. So I mean, what do you? Are you at like? Is the gallery taking up all your time, or are you splitting it between your work, and how does that work?
The gallery takes up a good portion of it. I'm lucky I don't actually have to be there most of the time on the day-to-day.
Oh, okay.
So 90% of curating is done from a computer and a phone.
Right.
So I spend a lot of time doing that from home, and then Jeremy actually runs the gallery in person on the 4 days a week that we're open.
Right.
So, I have to be there to hang shows and for opening receptions and things like that.
Oh, but you're not there every day.
I'm not there every day. It's kind of nice. I do the other stuff that he doesn't want to do, and he gets to do the stuff that I don't want to do. Well, he probably doesn't want to do it either, but.
So you kind of make your own schedule and fit in art making within that somehow?
Yeah, I mean, kids in school now, so I get quite a bit of studio time in during the week. Monday through Friday, I'm probably getting 6 to 8 hours a day in the studio.
Oh, nice. That's great.
On a good week, that's true.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it just gets easier the older the kid gets. Once there's a point and they start doing runs for you.
Oh, I can't wait.
Send him off. That's like my kid. He helps me out all the time. All these like runs out to Van Nuys and stuff. I haven't gone out to Van Nuys in forever. He's like dropping stuff off and
10 years, I think.
Yeah. But as we were talking about, 10 years comes faster than you think.
Terrifying. Quit it.
Yeah, I know. It's like the neighborhood. There's this kid that lives two houses down from us. We moved in like around the same time they did in the neighborhood, and we saw her come home from the hospital as a baby, be a little kid, grow up. She's gonna turn 18. She's gonna turn 18 like next week or something, and it's like, how did that happen? It's oh my god.
Nothing like somebody growing up to make you feel old.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. It's a trip.
Sure.
So do you have shows lined up, or how do you approach your art making these days? Are you kind of like doing whatever is inspiring to you, or do you have a a show to work towards, or any group shows you're coming up, or anything like that?
I always have a show I always have a series in my head that I'm working on.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes that changes halfway through or whatever, but like right now I'm working on my feature. It's going to be like a small solo in October at Dark Art Emporium.
Okay.
And you know, we agreed on it like 3 or 4 months ago, and at the time I had a full concept of what I wanted to do with it, and I think it's changing completely. But so I might have a lot of work that doesn't fit with it anymore. We'll see.
Hate when that happens.
Yeah, it happens. It's fine. It'll find homes eventually.
Yeah.
You know, I just finished up my piece for Conjoined.
Excellent.
Which is another weird piece that doesn't look like anything else I've ever done before. Because you made the mistake of telling me to go big.
Okay. Go big or go home.
So it's a a little over 4 foot marionette.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Like a 2D marionette? I don't know, like 2.5D.
Like cut out of wood or something?
Yeah. So
that sounds cool.
It's a wood, but then it's all posable and it has accessories and.
Oh, that's amazing. That sounds really cool.
It was, I actually started 2 different projects for Conjoined that I ended up scrapping before I decided I'm doing this one.
Wow.
It's too much fun not to do.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's a weird departure, but I was like, I totally want to do this.
That's how you find great things, is you experiment all the time, Yep. That's the key to it. Wow, that sounds really cool. Well, are you going to use the other concepts for something else, or did you just abandon them?
I ended up cutting them up. Like one of them was a big, 3.5 foot by 3.5 foot shadow box. Mm-hmm. And I was going to do a bunch of different styles of work in, little vignettes inside of it.
Painted or
yeah, painted, sculptural.
Okay.
Framed photographs that I'd altered.
Oh, wow.
It was all over the place. It ended up being just 2 all over the place.
Right.
Like there was no through line. There was no. It felt disjointed at best, and it didn't work.
Right.
But pieces of it worked, and so I cut those out of it, and I'm turning those into other things now.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I love. That's what I love about. One of the things I love about the creative process is that, anything can change at any moment, and you can, you think you have the coolest idea, and then you have a better idea, and just the idea of chopping it up and using it in a different way is, I don't know, it's like invigorating or exciting, to take something that was like, this isn't quite working, and then be able to turn it into something amazing on its own,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I ended up being way more excited about some of the pieces than what I did with them
right.
later on.
Yeah. It's just interesting that the creative mind works that way. It's like you have to go through these stages to get to this thing. And it's like, if it's not there, so you don't, you scrap it because you don't have the feeling. It's not all there, it's not right. And then you end up doing something totally different. And it's like, that's it.
Well, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but see, I assume that with you have a very clear-ish, at least, vision before you even jump in. And it doesn't change that much from when you start to when it finishes, right?
At this point, yeah. But that's because I've been, I don't know. I am less about being. It's more like a phase I'm going through. I feel like it's a phase in my career to where I'm, I first started out like probably everybody else who's just an intuitive painter. I would just start painting and not really know what I was doing, or not even have much of an idea, and just start kind of painting on there, and then just, because that's like a fun game to do too, like you just kind of figure out how it goes as you're doing it. And you can just get some amazing things that way too that you would have never thought of. But at this point, I, did that for a long time, and then I just kind of kept learning technical painting better and better and more efficiently. So at this point in my life, it's sort of like about making the best painting I can. And that, to me, at this stage in the game, for me as a painter, the best I can do is like to plan it out ahead of time, you know? So I'm taking that as far as I can. And then I imagine I'll probably get to a point where I go back to, I miss just completely being super creative and experimental again, So
the chaos, chaos of it.
Because I miss it, but it's like at the same time I really get a real joy, like a really good feeling when I make just a really slick, super great painting that's painted really well. I mean, there's like it's really satisfying to me. So once that gets maybe boring, I'll switch it up and try something else. But I feel like I'm still kind of in that phase where I'm a little more planned out.
Did you just say when perfection gets boring?
Well, you know what I'm saying. No, when I hit that, you strive to hit a certain level.
I know.
And then you do it a few times, and it's like, oh, you want to go to the next level or a different level altogether, just because it's something different.
Right.
Just so you don't get bored. That's all I'm saying.
One of the things that and we've talked about this before, and it's something I've always really, really been in admiration of you about, is not just, I'm in admiration of all your shit, all your work, but in your whole career. But
thank you.
In particular, something that we've talked about is your commitment to studies.
Yeah.
And you really encouraged me, this was a little while back, but you really encouraged me to like, do studies, man. You should get in there and do studies. And I think it was because I'd fucked up a piece and we were talking about it. Like I hated the background and I ended up pace, and you're like, you should have done a study. You're fucking right. I should have done a study.
I know, I'm always saying that.
And within the last year, I've done more than I've ever done before, which isn't that many.
Right.
But I'm trying to work that muscle out now, and it's patience.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it was like, I couldn't do it. I didn't want to do studies. I knew I should for a long time. And it's like, I don't want to. I just want to paint the painting. That's the fun part. I don't want to do any preparatory stuff. And then I kept getting in that. I kept fucking paintings up because I didn't have it planned out. And eventually it was like, okay, the pain of messing these paintings up is greater than the pain of doing the studies, So it's like, okay, this is going to be less painful. So I'm going to go to the studies. And then surprisingly, once I started doing the studies, I sort of became dependent on them, or I felt like now if I don't do a study, it feels weird to me. Like it's so part of the whole process of creating a work that it feels like I'm not painting and underpainting or something. So it's like it just became part of the habit. And so now I don't even think twice about it. I just automatically do it, which is good because I didn't like doing them before, so now it's just become part of the process. And like, and the thing probably I told you is too, you can sell the studies too, and they're easier to sell than the paintings. So it's a good way. It's kind of like, it's like I'm a broken record. I'm always saying the same shit, but it's like, it makes your painting better. It makes you feel more comfortable and relaxed, and you can sell them and make extra money. So it's kind of like, why not do it? The only reason not to do it is just because you're being lazy and you don't want to do it. That's how it was for me anyway.
Oh, it's great advice. Be repetitive. There's probably more people that need to hear it because I probably need to hear it again.
Yeah, and then all the extra painting time you're getting in is great. Plus, you don't care as much about the study, so you loosen up. And then sometimes you'll do stuff in a study that you wouldn't have the nerve to do in a big painting, like a loose stroke that looks great, but in a big painting they're precious and you have to you're more careful. At least I am. I'm more careful about getting crazy with it. Whereas a study, it's frees you up. So it's just got so many benefits to studies. They're very beneficial. And I think that it definitely, once I started doing studies, my paintings definitely got better for sure. It was, once I got into that habit to where I didn't have to think about them.
That's what I'm hoping. The series that I'm working on now, it's stuff I've never really done before. Well, aspects of it are things I've never done before, and that's what brought about that conversation and memory of you talking about studies. Like, you know what? I should do a shitload of studies to conceptualize this beforehand because I don't exactly know how to do what I'm about to do.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, I'm adding all of these urban landscape scenes behind my paintings now, whereas before I never really did much.
Yeah, those are great. I just saw the McDonald's one you did.
That sketch is the one I've now done 5 cemetery studies.
Yeah, that's such a great that was one of the ideas that I saw. I was like, damn it, I wish I would have thought of that. That was another one of those.
So I'm gonna paint that Mick graveyard pretty big, and I was like, I gotta make sure I know how to paint a fucking graveyard before I get in.
Tell me about it, man. That's what I had to do a graveyard for the Dystopia book, and it's like I've painted parts of graveyards, but I've never really done the epic graveyard I wanted to do. And man, I took a shitload of. I went out to graveyards and took a bunch of photographs.
That's what I did too.
Yeah, just to kind of get an idea. Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
My wife's going to Trader Joe's.
Well, and not that I ever mind hanging out in a cemetery anyway. So
yeah, exactly. It's just...
I take the dog and the kid, and tromp through the tombstones, take some photographs. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's great. I love graveyards. I really do. So yeah, I feel you there. It's like because when you get into that, I haven't done a lot of like perspective type things to where there's rows of things that are kind of similarly sized and they have to look right, or it's like it's a whole different thing. Painting, it's kind of like architecture in a way. You know what I mean? We have to do perspective and all that stuff. So photographs help.
Yeah, I've been going around Long Beach and I photograph interesting buildings. Lately, I've been doing a lot of bars, like photographing bars and using those in the backgrounds of the pieces, because otherwise, I've tried to free draw and free paint the urban landscape, and the perspective's just
it's hard
off enough that it looks dumb and you can't tell what it is.
Yep.
So yeah, it's cool because I feel like I'm pushing myself in new territory. It's exciting. And I'm really interested in it, so hopefully I'll stay really interested in it for a while. And I won't get distracted by a giant piano,
right? Or a wood carving or something.
Right.
Maybe marble. Maybe you'll be carving a huge slab of marble next.
Yeah, anybody who's got one? I'm into it.
I'm gonna do you a favor and not tell you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, is that McGraveyard piece? Is that for your show coming up, or is that just
for the show?
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yeah. So,
can you talk about what the theme is and stuff? Or?
Yeah. Well, the original idea was, my little armless, sort of ghost-shaped, dick-shaped creatures that I paint. Mm-hmm. I call them the Lurchins.
Okay.
Which is a play off of like street urchin and lurking, and
right,
because they inhabit this little weird urban world that I'm painting. So Rise of the Lurchins.
Oh, excellent.
Is the working title.
That's cool.
We'll see if that sticks with it, but I've gotten so into painting the buildings and stuff that it's taking over a little bit more than the characters.
That's cool.
So I there's gonna be plenty of Lurchins in it, but I don't know. The focus is shifting a little bit. Like I said, I don't know. It started in one way, now it's kind of evolving into something else. And the fast food, like the McGraveyard thing, I did a Taco Bell painting that I really liked. I know that sounds really strange. But this like skull-headed creature with a punk rock T-shirt on, in front of a building, and I was like, oh, it kind of looks like an old Taco Bell. So I looked at those old Taco Bells. So I painted that as reference.
That is hilarious.
So now I kind of want to do a series of like weird punk rock creatures hanging out in front of fast food places.
It's a great idea, man. I love that idea.
Which completely happened, by accident. I just painted the building, and I was like, oh, this kind of looks like a Taco Bell.
That's a great.
Remember the old style Taco Bells?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those.
Kind of looked like looked Spanish or Mexican in style instead of just a block.
Yeah, they had like a fire pit out in front of ours, and when I was in the 70s, when I was a little kid, there was a fire pit, and there was a little like sleeping guy in a sombrero logo,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool if you did that. There's a lot of great old fast food places, especially like Southern California places. Like Pup and Taco was another weird. I don't know if you're probably too young for that, but that was another.
Taco.
What's that?
I don't remember Pup and Taco.
Yeah, it was like Taco Bell, but they had hot dogs too.
Makes perfect sense.
And then there was like what's that? Pioneer Chicken. Did you ever hear of that?
Oh, totally. The last existing Pioneer Chicken was around the corner from my place in East Hollywood.
Oh wow, yeah, that was another one that's like had that chef on like a covered wagon. There's
totally.
Just and the old the old Jack in the Box with the clown head. We used to talk into the clown head, which is really weird. It was demented looking, and there's a lot of not even to mention like the old school Hamburglar, and
and that's what got me into the homemade graveyard thing. Is now I get to paint the Hamburglar as a cemetery memorial statue.
Yeah. The old Hamburglar was creepy as hell, man. They really kind of I don't know if it was the 90s, they changed designs for the Hamburglar.
I was researching all the old characters, and the one I had completely forgotten about is they had a terrifying pirate.
Yeah, that's right.
He went through a few different redesigns over the years, but the first one, it looked like somebody made it in their garage and they'd never seen a puppet or a pirate before. And it was awful. It was so just like giant fur mustache and beady little eyes, or one beady little eye and an eye patch. So it's been a fun experiment, like going through and like how can I incorporate that? And like, it's great iconography. Like, it's immediately resonating.
Totally, man. With everybody, you know what I mean?
And it's weird as fuck. So
and it's fucked up. It's like it's twisted. Fast food is twisted in a way, in a lot of different ways, and it's perfect environment to work within.
So that's going to definitely take up a good portion of this show. Is I'm going to run with that theme and exhaust that, and there's going to be a bunch of old seedy motels and dive bars and stuff incorporated too, and then just pepper in the creatures here and there to keep it it's interesting.
Yeah, it's great. Great ideas for backgrounds. You've got a cool character, and it's like, I could just put like a sort of plain background, or I could have this amazing old cheesy weird fucked up fast food restaurant.
Right, and I think it adds a little bit of menace.
Definitely. Yeah, in an interesting way. Yeah, in an interesting way that's not obvious.
So it's like pop art, and it's creepy, and it's menacing, but it's still bright and cheery looking at the same time. I don't know. Once I stumbled onto it, it made sense.
Yeah, it's kind of brilliant now that I'm thinking about it. It's like, wow, that's it's great. Conceptually, it's excellent. I love that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, keep going with it. I want to see that show. When is that show?
It's going to be October.
Okay.
So we'll be actually splitting the gallery with Buddy Nestor.
Oh yeah, Buddy's great.
We invited him to curate a group show.
Oh, that's right. He asked me about that, I think.
Yeah, you should do it.
Yeah, I just have to. It's in October?
October, yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard part. October's my busy time of the year, but
I know.
I still haven't said no yet. I'm still trying to figure things out. So,
And did I hear you're not doing a show this year?
yeah, I'm not doing. I gotta get another year off. I think I'm curating something this year instead again, but yeah, I got too behind. I've got too many commissions. I've been saying I'm not going to do a solo show for like the last 5 years. Like every year I've been saying, okay, I'm going to take it off so I can get caught up. And here we are 4 years later, the book's not done. The dystopia book's not done. And I've got just this backlog of commissions. And, I've got some financial opportunities that have come my way too that will allow me to get take some time to get this work done and not have to hustle so much. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, finally. So it's like I don't want to fuck that opportunity up, because even though I feel bad not doing a show for the gallery, but I have to do it. I have to do it, or this is gonna be the rest of my life. I'm just gonna be behind the rest of my life, and I just don't want to live like that anymore. So one more year, I'm gonna take a show. Although I did, yeah, last year I was supposed to take a show off. And I did one at DAE Art Gallery because I owed them one. And so that kind of took my solo show. That was my solo show the year I wasn't going to do a solo show. So I can't do it this year. End of story.
I can't wait until you're able to be less vague about some of this awesome stuff, man.
Yeah, well, it's, I got I don't know if you saw the Tool posters.
They look great.
Thank you.
It's really good. Yeah.
So that's like, I'm going to release those, and those are going to probably do all right. And so that's going to help me to get through the next few months and catch up on things. Cause you know how it is. It's like, I've been just running on this treadmill of I get started on finishing, I get started on commissions, I get started on the book, and then I have to stop and I have to pay the bills every month. Yep. Just every single month for 4 years. This is, and beyond. But I mean, once the book came into play, it's like 4 years of just starting and having to stop every month. It's a nightmare. So,
well, nice thing about posters, man. It's like those things are like printing money.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like totally
so fast.
Yeah, it was very unexpected. I'm really appreciative that I was able to do those because, yeah, totally unexpected. It was just a cool thing to do at the time, and now it's like, oh, these are selling for a lot on the secondary market.
I don't know who did the animation on the post that I saw where the character was animated and coming out, and like that it looked so rad.
Yeah, Misha George, I believe his name is. Yeah, he's been animating all the Tool posters. They're so cool looking. It's great. I've been wanting to since we did the documentary that I Like to Paint Monsters, I've been wanting to animate my paintings in that way. And it's like I just never had the time to do it. I wanted to have those be kind of like transition or pictures of animated, instead of just showing the painting, having it animated. I thought that would be kind of cool, but
hell yeah,
I just wasn't able to get it together. So it's one of those things. It's a good idea. Someone's eventually going to do it, and it's like he did it. A lot of people are doing it now. It's pretty cool though.
Yeah, the technology's there.
Yeah, to easily do it on your phone now. It like maps over your face, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and your pieces, of course, lend themselves perfectly to that. So that
thanks.
makes sense.
Yeah, I was pretty honored to have him do that. So let's. I'm gonna have to wrap things up because I got this online thing I got to do in a few minutes. But how are you doing? How are you liking Patreon? Because I keep up with your work on Patreon because I subscribe to your Patreon, and it's cool to see all the stuff you're doing on there. So how's it going for you? Are you liking it?
I like it. I feel like it hasn't really taken off for me.
You got to promote the shit out of it.
But I did take some time away from it and kind of rethought how I was going to approach it. I had all the different tiers and everything before, and now I restarted it a couple months ago, and basically like it's just $1 like for anybody.
Right.
You get everything for $1.
Yeah. Can't go wrong.
Exactly. Instead of trying to flood it with all the other stuff, because I don't have quite enough members on there to really warrant, doing other stuff for $75 a month anyway.
Right.
But I'd love to have more people on there. That'd be awesome.
Hey,
I post a shitload of stuff that I don't post on social media.
I know.
All my sketches and studies and processes and videos and things like that. So, I'm trying to flood it with even more content lately, and I'm gonna have a lot more, working towards this show. So,
excellent.
There's plenty out there.
Yeah, this is for you listening to the podcast. Go check out. What's your? I'll put it in the description. But what's your address on there? Just
Jeremy Cross.
Jeremy Cross. Cool.
Yeah, Patreon.com/Jeremy Cross.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one. You can't, like I said, $1. You cannot go wrong. I mean, come on, throw the guy a buck. If everybody did it on your Instagram, you'd probably be doing pretty great, right?
Right. Yeah, we'd be doing all right. But it's nice though because the people that I have on there, I know that they're really into what I do and they're truly supportive, and I appreciate the hell out of them. And it's nice to have anybody care that much about me to just be like, here's $1 a month.
Yeah. It's amazing. It feels good. Yeah, it's amazing.
How good they are.
That's how I see it. Like the Patreon people are the real serious hardcore fans, or whatever you want to call them, collectors or patrons, basically. I mean, these are the people that are willing to just put out a little bit of money. So that says a lot to us artists,
Anything to keep us in brushes and paint.
Yes, you're doing a service for the world when you're supporting Patreon. Really. Truly is. So that's cool. So you got your show coming in October. You got your Patreon going. You have any other exciting news before we go?
Sure. I could talk about this since it's official. The gallery is moving.
No way.
Yep, it's really cool.
Where?
So we've been on this space for about 3 years, and it's decent size, but we needed to grow.
Yeah.
Jeremy, my partner, also owns an amazing place called the Fourth Horseman. It is also in Long Beach.
I know.
Pizza, punk rock, metal, pizza beer bar.
I'm so bummed I had to leave. But someone told me that vegan pizza was amazing.
The vegan pizza is seriously amazing. I'm not vegan, and I eat vegan pizza there because it's that good.
Wow.
They have the best vegan pizza in Long Beach, voted 3 times or something in a year.
Right.
Anyway, so the space right behind that, which is larger than where we're at now, came open.
Oh my God, perfect.
The idea to combine the two businesses, and now the gallery is going to be accessible through the Fourth Horseman.
Oh, he's going to clean up.
And we have a much cooler, much bigger space with more walls, more room.
That is such a great idea.
Built-in clientele on both sides.
That's amazing. Oh, it's going to be huge, man. Aren't you excited?
I'm insanely excited about it.
When's the move happening?
We are going to start working on the space this week. We'll find out whether or not it's going to be ready before the next show or the March show, but definitely by March.
Well, let me know when it's ready, and I'll make I pre-record the little intros. I'll give a shout out when it's done, because that sounds like an amazing idea.
That'd be awesome, man. Yeah, it's going to be cool. Like, we have a pretty interesting vision for how this is going to work out. It's anybody who doesn't like it's just silly, because it's going to be rad.
Yeah, I can imagine. It sounds amazing. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I have to run and go do this thing, but it was great to learn about you, and I learned a lot about why you're painting what you're painting, I think. But I love your work. I appreciate what you're doing, and like I said, I'm glad that we have you as one of the dark artists that we can, part of the tribe. It's awesome. I think you're
gotta have the weird little idiot in the corner, right?
I didn't mean it like that at all. I meant it's showing something that not a lot of dark art is doing, if any. I can't think of any, really. Chris Mars a little bit maybe, but yours is more in it's different. It's more like you could make a cartoon series on Adult Swim out of your stuff.
Yeah, hear that, Adult Swim? Let's do that shit.
I can see that happening, and it would be funny. I could just see it. It's like, I guess you got that, sense of humor in there and stuff too. So
Yeah,
anyway,
that's something I've really tried to embrace lately, is the sense of humor about it. Take it a little less seriously.
yeah,
So,
you got to.
well, it's been in my honor, Chet. I've always looked up to you and appreciated your friendship, and this was a real good treat for me. So thank you. I appreciate it a lot.
Oh, my pleasure, man. I appreciate you taking the time, and it was a great interview. Everybody who's listening, if you want to support the Dark Art Society podcast, you can do it for as little as $1 a month, as well as Jeremy's Patreon. Hit that up too. I mean, once you're on there and you have an account, it's so easy just to throw $1, and you'll never miss it. It's like $1 a month. It's nothing. So yeah,
According to your Witcher.
Patreon.com/Dark Art Society, Patreon.com/Jeremy Cross. Yeah, so I guess that's it. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming on the show. And
Thanks, Chad.
let's say goodbye to everybody. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.